Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Streamed live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined with my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, brother Ellis.
Bruh. Back together again, man.
Back together again.
Tommy, feels like it's been too long, man.
It's been too long, Eric. It's been too long. God has been good,
right?
As always.
I was, whoa, that's another show. Oh, I'm just wondering now who is real and who's lying there, Tommy. I thought I was looking at another repeat. Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development, and I'm joined by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Hey, good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. I wasn't sure if that was you or your representative.
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago. How's everything, man?
Hey, fantastic morning, Eric. Fantastic morning, man. Great to wake up again this morning. I had a great opportunity last evening to go to a dinner play theater.
Okay.
The wife and I was able to grab a dinner, a nice dinner, and watch a play. It was the kind of the theatrical rendition of Footloose.
Okay.
So I had a great time, but it's great to be with you this morning, man.
Man, it's good to be with you too, Tommy. Last week, man, was a phenomenal week for us. Busy. We went to Austin, Texas. Judy, myself, our daughter Jillian, our oldest, and then 3 of my staff went there because Judy and I both had to deliver several presentations at SHRM's Inclusion Conference. And man, what an exciting event. Judy just knocked the ball out the park, man. And Wendell heard her for the first time and literally apologized to her. Said, you know, Judy, I owe you an apology. You know, I've been talking all these years. I've been talking when many of the times I should have been listening. Because she really brought the house down, man, in terms of just the knowledge that she has, the way that she presents, man, it was phenomenal. And my sessions went well. It's always good to be back in front of live audiences, but I had to step up, man, because they threatened to have me just carrying her bags. You said, brother, you know, she was so cold. Maybe you can, you know, carry her bags or something. And but Jillian, our daughter, was there to see both of her parents present. And that was a special moment, man. And had people from my team who had helped to put together our presentations. And we were just appreciative to have them there and to meet all the wonderful participants and to participate in the event ourselves and attend some other inspiring sessions. One of the highlights of the conference, believe it or not, was Gretchen Carlson, Tommy. Blew me away. Man, yeah. I was shocked, man, because she was a controversial to some people invitee to be a keynote presenter at the conference, man. But she really came loaded up, man. She talked a lot about forced arbitration, and she has a big concern against that. I think that she said she has a bill that's going through the Senate right now to sort of eliminate forced arbitration, and Lindsey Graham and maybe Amy Klobuchar are co-sponsoring that. So really phenomenal presentation, man. And, you know, she's done her homework. She made a couple missteps, like now that she's on the side of the good people, she's going to save us all now that she's here. So, you know, but other than that, man, interesting.
Yeah. So did SHRM realize who they were inviting as the keynote? Right. You know, SHRM is a fantastic organization, just like many other organizations. And I want to applaud SHRM if they did know where she was right now and not where she was 10 or 15 years ago.
Right. That's good, Tommy.
The reason being is because if we really take a look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, that is not only working with and living with and listening to people who we already agree with.
Come on,
But
Tommy.
also
Come on.
adverse, those who we don't agree with, those who may even challenge us. And it will test our own integrity and fortitude when we're actually engaging with folks who we do not get along with or we do not agree with at all. They can be diametrically opposed with our own values, beliefs, and views of the world. And so kudos to SHRM as an organization. I don't know how individuals responded, but if individuals were moved in a particular way, I would ask them to ask themselves the first question: why?
Right.
Why were you moved
Right.
in the way that you were moved?
Right.
And that's where that first self-reflection comes in, where we then move forward into moving our businesses, our organizations, agencies, and our country and world further along and not going backwards.
Tommy, I tell you, man, what was interesting, man, is you and I, people would describe us, many would describe us as courageous and willing to engage our clients and others in courageous conversations. Yeah. And we certainly are people that push back sometimes. I mean, we're not just trying to be, throwing our clients overboard, but we push back and we challenge. But man, she came, man, with the double barrel shotgun, man. She was like, hey, if I never get invited back. And, she she actually got an HR audience to applaud things almost like, diversity, sexual harassment. None of that needs to be under HR. She said there are oftentimes some conflicts of interest around that. Mm-hmm. And her whole piece around forced arbitration, she's really fighting for the voices of marginalized and victims of sexual harassment, sexual discrimination in the workplace. And she's now broadened it to racial discrimination and other types, LGBTQ as well. And that was interesting, man, to hear her come at it that way. And she says a lot of people are sending her emails saying that, they appreciate the fight that she's undertaken. And I can tell you this, Tommy, that I've said to a lot of people that the Me Too movement has not sort of gotten to the place where women are now freely coming forward with their experiences and concerns around sexual harassment and gender bias. I don't see it, Tommy. I just think that women in general have decided that it's a career limiting move to do it. In other words, there are more risks than there are benefits. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing the exact same thing. In fact, over the last 6 months, Eric, I've been very privy to be an executive coach to maybe 3 or 4 women who are well experienced, high ranking in their organizations. And over the course of 3 to 5 years for each and every one of them, they have filed a series of complaints with HR, possibly with EEOC, and in some cases with an external representative, attorney. Wow. And those complaints have been around sexism, ageism, racism, and discrimination.
Yeah.
And time again, as I'm still working with these particular executive women, they are saying that one, their complaints have declined. Every one of them. Decline. Once it's gone through the process does the investigation, and then the process wants to yield evidence.
Right.
Evidence of ageism, evidence of racism, evidence of sexism. And that is very difficult to prove, but it is absolutely a lived experience.
Right.
And so what we've been doing is working in this reality. And in some cases, in 2 cases particularly, Eric, that the women decided, I've been battling this for 3 or 4 years. I'm losing sleep. I'm losing weight. I'm losing my hair. I'm losing time and patience.
Right.
And
Right.
so is it worth it for me to be my mental wellness, right? And then discard. So when leaders, women in particular, in leadership are experiencing this, other women are simply watching from the bushes
Right.
to see if this is a fight that they want to get in when it
Right.
happens to them. So in closing, there are more events and instances that are happening that women are simply not coming up. I think because they do not have other women and men in power to be their ally.
Right.
That's what I think.
That's good, Tommy. And I want to share this with our audience. And it's either the people that are with us right now or the people that will see this later. I want to share this with you if you're working in a corporation and if you're in any position of leadership. A good friend of mine now is working with Great Places to Work and sent me some research that said that there are 5 groups that if you create a positive workplace experience for those 5, then it will sort of, they're barometers or bellwethers for the rest of the organization. In other words, if you take care of these 5 marginalized groups, then you can almost assume that you're taking care of everybody else and you are economically more successful as a company. So Tommy, the things that we're talking about here are in the company's best interest. Sort of hushing and sort of putting a blanket over, sexual harassment and discrimination. That's not really the answer for the company. It's really trying to take care of the needs of marginalized, harassed groups. In that group, I think it was the hourly worker, women, older workers, and people of color. So when you are taking care of those groups, then you're kind of getting it done with others. And so, man, we still got some work to do, don't we, Tom?
We got a lot of work to do, Eric. We got a lot of work to do. In fact, this past week, I had an opportunity to talk with a client. I was asked to join a call, just 1 hour. The client is out west, the Great West. And full transparency, I wasn't exactly sure of what my role was in the meeting.
Right.
I didn't know if I was introducing myself to this board of board members. I didn't know if I was giving a presentation.
Right.
I didn't know if I was just going to go through an interview process.
Right.
I didn't know.
I understand.
And sometimes it happens, you get the invite. The invite is not terribly clear. There's not a lot of context in the body.
That's the world we live in.
And so what I end up doing is fortunately or unfortunately, we'll wait until next week. I asked them to simply ask me questions.
Yeah, that's excellent.
And they asked me questions, and I was working. I wasn't selling. I wasn't trying to politic or be sophisticated with the language. I was working. I was working on their behalf, although it may have been an interview, it may have been a quote unquote presentation. So when they were asking me questions, I was giving them 25 years of global experience as well, right? And one of the things that I shared was that they were asking, where should we begin in this work? Mm-hmm. And I shared that it takes introspection first. This work of DE&I takes introspection. And beginning with our own mindset and then trying to listen and understand others' mindsets. And I went down that path and they were silent, right? Silent. They didn't say anything.
Right.
And the way I felt was my patience to kind of finesse the language. No.
Not there.
We have issues, we have problems, we have voices that are unheard or even silenced.
There's some urgency around this.
Absolutely.
Right. And you don't have to shuffle and dance to try to prove to you that this is something that's worthy of. But I can tell you, Tommy, that's been a new strategy of mine as well, actually, is to tell people that are Zooming with me as a sales presentation. I move immediately out of the slides and say, look, my job is not to sell you at all.
Yeah.
My job is to have a dialogue with you, and because your responsibility is to find the partner that's the best fit for you. That may be us. We love it if it is, but it may not be. And so I want to be here as a resource for the time that we have together. And people have appreciated and responded very favorable to that.
Yeah.
We've got a guest that's going to be joining us to talk about an event that's coming up with the United Negro College Fund. And so we're going to have one of their area directors, Stephen Miller, is going to join us. But before we do that, Tommy, I wanted us to sort of talk a little bit about, let's start with unconscious bias, and then we'll come back to those maybe top lessons, DEI lessons that people of color, need, and we might even say that for next week. But unconscious bias is something that people have heard a lot about now. It's now coming into sort of the marketplace. It's coming into, media and social media. Unconscious biases are biases that exist outside of our conscious awareness that can impact our understanding, our actions, our behaviors in ways that often contradict our stated values and beliefs. Tommy, how are you approaching unconscious bias? And for you and I, what does this mean sort of in the annals of the history of this work? What does that mean? Where are we now in this place of now embracing unconscious bias?
The way I'm approaching is that, everyone has biases, both positive and negative biases.
Right.
Those that are productive and maladaptive, right? Mm-hmm. They're just unproductive. And so with that level set, Eric, we approach this as a human condition.
Yeah.
And as a human condition, the next question is, again, why do I have these biases? And once I am aware of these biases, be it negative or positive, what am I doing with these biases? So such that if there are positive biases, what am I doing with it? Let me share an example of a positive bias.
Excellent.
One positive bias is that all old people are wise. Now that sounds great,
right,
when you want to culturally give respect to the seniors.
Right.
But in reality, all old people, whatever old is, are not wise.
Right.
And so what that tends to do in the workplace as we work with folks is those in seniority that may be 50 or 60 or even 70 years of age, there's a positive bias to them that they know everything.
Right.
They could very well have been in their role for 2 years, still learning themselves.
Right.
But because they look as if they're 70, 75 years old, they must know.
Right.
And sometimes great ideas, great innovation, that's thwarted by way of our bias. In this case, positive bias. We talk about those negative biases. And those negative biases are sometimes those aha moments, or in some cases, it's the courageous conversation with self.
Right.
Right. And typically, unconscious or negative biases, unfortunately, Eric, they end up in policy. They end up in practices, right? And those practices protect those people who don't want to really adhere to their own bias.
Right.
In other words, if I have a bias really against women, I will create performance evaluations that are catered toward men in general. For example, men are very unilateral. We like saying I. We like taking ownership of I in that control, where women are more communal. So in our performance evaluations, there is an ingrained bias that when we complete, I did this, yeah, I lead the team of 100 or 5, I did this, that doesn't bode well with people who are communal that says, I don't do anything by myself, it's a we.
Right.
But if you answer in a we can't promote a we can promote an I, right? And so sometimes those negative biases makes their way into processes, procedures, protocols, etc. And so our approach is to, allow people to understand that they have biases, and then how do these biases show up in their personal, professional, organizational lives.
That's excellent, Tommy. I'll tell you that if you haven't seen this, Tommy, it was an outstanding article in Harvard Business Review this month on unconscious bias training. And so I was but it goes broader than that. It really looks at how do you change the structure and the culture of an organization. And so I was really impressed by that. I was proud to see that much of what we do that's in there reinforced. There were some things, man, that they leveled up that we were doing, but I've now added some other tools. One of the things that they talked about, because there are things like the IAT test, implicit association test. And so it's interesting that test now has become under fire from a number of different angles, as you would suspect it would. People are questioning some of the validity of it. And some are saying that there's a low correlation between sort of our unconscious bias beliefs and behaviors, and that the test doesn't do a great job of predicting, whether we're likely to be more biased in our behavior. But there's very little that can do a great job of predicting what our behavior is going to be. Behavior is complex. I find, but there's an underlying argument, Tommy. I want to get your thought on this, man. That now there, in the research, people are beginning to look at the way that we approach unconscious bias training is more exculpatory, more science-based. Sort of moving away from moralized feedback and blaming and shaming, and moving more to let's understand sort of how our brain works. But what they're saying in some of the research is that approach, that exculpatory approach, is beginning to take away or remove sort of any need to own anything. Yeah. And so it gets you to a place you say, hey, if that's the way my brain works, and if that's the way everybody's brain works, then why sweat this? We're not going to be able to do much about it. It's unconscious, And so they were suggesting that in some of their new research, that as they put those two together, the old school blaming and shaming with the new school of exculpatory and science-based, brain-based approach, that actually the blame and shame approach may in fact do a better job of moving the decision, the explicit willingness of the participant to change. In other words, what they were saying is that moralized feedback that says we should, we should do this, we shouldn't do this, that as you begin to create some peer pressure around that pressure can sometimes, that social pressure can sometimes lead us to at least make a commitment that we're going to do something different. Now, they say the research says that, 3-4 weeks later, people kind of spring back to who they are. So you got to actually do some long-term kinds of things if you're going to change behavior over time. But isn't that interesting, Tommy? I would say don't use the shame, use the pressure on ourselves, number one, to be better, on a regular basis, and to not let myself off the hook because that's the way my brain operates. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't like I prefer not to use the blame, shame, and victimizing approach at all. Right. And for a number of reasons, from a multicultural perspective, we're not all the same. And when we look at different cultures, that is extremely offensive when you shame, blame, and victimize.
Right.
Now, I would also like to say, when uncovering unconscious or implicit bias, there is a defense mechanism that we all have of self-preservation.
Right.
And that self-preservation could be one's life or even one's identity. And so what sometimes we do is we create some narratives to defend the way we think and why we behaved in the past.
Right.
Right. And so we say things like, it takes time for us to change. We've always had this one policy in place, And I know we have these different people, but it takes a while to turn the Titanic.
Right.
Right. Another person will say, well, it takes only one iceberg to sink it.
Ooh,
one event.
Okay.
Right. One event. And so from an implicit bias perspective, what we want to do is we want to take a look at our own bias, which everyone has as human beings, and then also to think about in the past, in the present, potentially in the future, what significant events will create the ripples of change, be it positive or negative, right? Is it a event like hitting an iceberg and sinking?
Right.
And that event, that particular implicit bias may be that it can be the halo effect. We can talk through some different types. And the halo effect is when we really experience something or we hear something about a person and we place them on a pedestal.
Right.
And anything that they do, right, we hold them in high regard.
Right.
In addition to that, we may associate that halo effect with that person with anyone that's like that person.
Right.
In the same culture, of the same background, etc. So we then, what happens is, again, we create kind of the homogenous kind of subculture. You know, white men, 6'3", 205 pounds, athletic built, are great attorneys.
Right.
What?
Right.
Where did you get that from? Because the one attorney I know was that statute.
Right.
And he was fantastic. Halo effect. With that being said, if there was a shorter stature individual which may have great talent, great potential, great ideas, that barrier may be the iceberg.
Right.
We cannot see our own potential.
Right.
So it's not as much as us being aware, which is important, Eric. To be aware of our biases is important. It's not as much with that. It's what we do with it from a people perspective, ourselves and others.
Right.
From a process perspective, and we talked about this before, with the procedures, the practices, the policies that are in place.
Right.
And from a cultural perspective.
Right.
How do we do what we do? So are we going to move forward with just the awareness of bias? And I know that I'm sexist or I'm a bigot or I'm a racist and I'm biased and that's it. Or are we going to change the culture such that we are more equitable and inclusive and value the uniqueness of everyone, which is called diversity?
I love that. We're so glad to have Dr. Reggie Crane back with us this morning. Dr. Reggie, good to see you, man. Great to talk to you yesterday. Love you, my brother. Love you greatly. And we're going to have you back on the show as well. Tommy, in this article, one of the things that they talked about was tracking your own behavior and your own actions. I love that. We've already created a tool. I'll send this to you. We already created a form that leaders can utilize to sort of track their behaviors. Who are you calling on in meetings? Who are you giving key assignments to? Who's calling you on the phone? Who are you spending time with? Because as you begin to track your own behaviors, so for those of you out there now and in the future that might hear this podcast and say, I don't like the IAT test, and that's fine. Here's something you can do. You don't have to take a test. Just track yourself. Just track what you are doing. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, go back and see if you see any patterns there. And you need to be honest about this. And I'll tell you, because people are funny, Tommy. As soon as they know somebody's watching, they change their behavior. Well, that's good, then. That's good. If you're tracking it and then all of a sudden you start calling on more women and things like that, more people of color, that's good. You know, that's then good. We want you to do that. But nobody wants to find out that they have issues or problems. And one of the things that you and I want to do is say, hey, join humanity.
Yeah.
We all have that, but we want to add the moralized approach that says, I don't want to get comfortable with that. I want to really make sure that I commit myself to making change.
I agree, Eric. Again, a topic that we can continue on another show. Would love to invite some individuals, some people who have strong feelings for or against this concept of unconscious bias. We want to hear from the academic folks, the folks in public and private sector businesses, and just the average person. Would love to hear your feedback and would like to invite you to the show.
Absolutely. And so now for the second half of our show, we have the renowned, the esteemed, the amazing, the great communicator, Stephen Miller. He's here to talk to us about an upcoming event with the United Negro College Fund. Steve Miller, how are you, my friend and brother?
Eric, I'm blessed, man. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh, Lord, Tommy. Now you can see he's asking for gifts. You can see he's asking for gifts. Yeah. Right after that comment, you just start holding your wallet. Like, oh.
Hey, well, we're really blessed and happy to be on with you today and just really want to share the mission of United Negro College Fund. We've been doing this work for 77 years.
Hold on. Before you get there, tell people about you, man. I just want them to know who you are. Give them a little bit of context so that they can understand. We met with the Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council.
Yes, sir.
You've done a number of things, man. So tell people who you are and a little bit about your history, and then let's go right into
Okay. Well, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Played college basketball at University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Started a professional sales career many years ago in Atlanta, here in Columbus. And I think what I'm most proud of is I'm third generation Hbcu. Okay. Both my grandfathers went to Hbcu. Both my parents graduated from West Virginia State, and I was blessed to graduate from Wilberforce University.
Right.
I've been working in the community for many years because I was blessed by family, coaches, and teachers, and just been trying to give back. I've been involved in mentoring for a number of years. I started a mentoring program at my church called Josiah. We work with young boys. I also started a program at the all-boys Catholic prep school I went to, St. Charles here in Columbus, an organization called My Brother's Keeper, where we work with young boys to get more minority students in St. Charles. And I'm most proud of the opportunity that we have. We hired our first African-American teacher. So really excited about that because boys need to see what they can be, especially in the classroom. So it's been a blessing and really just excited to try to help uplift young people. Also, I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
And,
you got also, a mirror screen, so only one of them got in there.
We have a program there called the Omega Gents, where we mentor young boys every weekend, and we do that virtually, of course, during this time. We really just help them be aware, and we all know that young people are challenged in this unique environment with COVID, with schools, and really just trying to help them understand how they can manage this violence and try to give them more opportunities to figure out how ways that they can reduce conflict and just some of the things that we're doing. But I've been blessed because I was fortunate enough to meet a powerful young man in Cincinnati that inspired me. We hit it off, and I just so glad to be in his shadow, trying to do work in my backyard here in Columbus, Ohio, and all through Ohio and Kentucky with United Negro College Fund. So
excellent. Now, do you and Tommy, do you all know each other?
We don't know each other.
Okay,
we do now.
You have to exchange information. Yeah. Steve's a powerful brother, man. Good people, always networking and thinking about ways to fit people together. Tommy and I do the same work, and so you guys need to get connected. So talk to us about the United Negro College Fund and this upcoming event that is being sponsored.
Well, on November the 5th, we're going to have the UNCF Cincinnati Mayor's Virtual Luncheon. This will be our third annual luncheon. The first one we did in person a couple of years ago was very, very successful, and due to COVID, we've had to go virtual. But Mayor Cranley has been very supportive of the work that we're doing, and we're excited to bring this event back to Cincinnati because we're providing an opportunity for local minority students to get scholarships to go to and through college. as I said earlier, UNCF's been doing this work for over 77 years.
Okay.
We've raised over $5 billion in the last 77 years. We've provided over 10,000 students scholarships to over 1,200 schools. Now, one of the most important things I want you guys to know and to share is that you don't have to go to a historically Black college to receive money from UNCF. We do not dictate where a student goes. They can go to school anywhere that they want.
Okay.
So we scholarship HBCUs, PWIs, wherever. Our scholarships are based on merit and need. About 60% of the students that we scholarship, their financial family earning is under $25,000 a year. Okay. So we do have funds available for kids to go anywhere that they want. But one of the other powerful things that we do is in our effort and mission to help kids go to historically Black colleges, there's 37 member institutions, and those schools are private schools. Wilberforce, school I graduated from, is right across the street from Central State, but Central State receives state and federal funds. Wilberforce does not. So some of the money that we raise goes directly to the institution and the other 37 institutions to help them stay afloat. And we all know that our schools, our students have been disproportionately impacted by COVID and some of the social justice issues and some of the politics, frankly, of what has happened in our country. So it's important that we continue to support our institutions and our schools so we can create leaders for the next generation to make sure that we're successfully moving forward.
Let me ask you this, Steve. Do you all have a Cash App? Are y'all up with the times? The answer has got to be yes. If it ain't yes today, it's got to be yes.
Yeah, we do have a number of ways to donate.
Okay.
We do have uncf.org/Cincinnati Give. So you can do that. We also have text to give that is available. We can go online, www.uncf.org/Cincinnati, and it'll have all our information on there.
Okay, let me.
Yeah, this is a great conversation, Brother Stephen. I'm a HBCU grad as well, Tennessee State University.
All right.
And done a lot of work at Wilberforce, and my father graduated from Central State. He's
all right. Yeah. There's a rich history of historically Black colleges, particularly with, we all grew up with teachers and community members that went to HBCUs. We're trying to help educate kids that are in high school now that UNCF supports education, but HBCUs provide a very special, culturally competent environment and experience where they can grow and learn about themselves, about community. And really, we are one of the most under-realized diversity workforce solutions in the country, because we've got college-educated students that can enter these corporate partners and help them with their workforce diversity. And we all know, as you gentlemen, because of the work that you do, is that, diversity equals dollars. So diversity of thought, diversity of talent is good for business. And we know that Procter & Gamble and other companies have helped monetize the power of that. And we're just trying to ask other companies to do the same. And Eric knows that this work has kind of gone through me through OMSDC, and my brother Marcus, who is the Diversity Inclusion Director for City of Chicago, used to be the National Vice President of UNCF. He was also the National Vice President for the National Minority Supplier Development Council. So it's a family affair.
Right.
And we're trying to help, do this work. I could never come close to the amazing work that Eric Ellis is doing, but in my own little way, we're trying to help as many kids as possible.
Hey, give us again that UNCF. How do we get to you for the dollars? I'm gonna try to put this up.
It's uncf.org/Cincinnati Give. Okay, and you can go online and make a donation that way. And the UNCF Cincinnati Mayor's Virtual Luncheon that's going to be held November the 5th, it will stream live on Facebook. There's no cost to attend. And you just, go onto that site and you click on it, and you'll see the program. We've got some amazing speakers lined up. Mayor Cranley's our host, but Alicia Reese will be introducing the mayor. Marty Dunn of Dinsmore Shoals is our Leadership Council chairperson. He's going to be making a statement. We also have the amazing world-renowned Fish Jubilee singers that will do a performance for us. So we're really excited about that. We're going to be highlighting 3 HBCU graduates from local Cincinnati businesses also, because we want to highlight that talent, that those corporations in Cincinnati have HBCU graduates in leadership roles that are doing big things. So we're also going to talk to the interim superintendent of Cincinnati Public Schools, Dr. Mott. She's going to be with us. And we have the president of Lemoyne Owen College that's going to be our keynote speaker. So it's just going to be real exciting. And we're just hopeful that everybody will tune in and really just gratefully appreciative of my brother, my mentor, my man, Eric Ellis, Double E, hooking us up, giving us this opportunity to share our mission and message about United Negro College Fund. But the very most important thing is that a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
That's exactly
a great thing to invest in.
I love that, man. I love that. Let me ask you this. What do you see, Stephen, what do you see historically Black colleges and others delivering to our students that they may not, oftentimes won't get from majority universities and institutions?
Eric, that's a great question. I think that the experience that I had, that my parents had, and many other people had, first and foremost is the cultural competency, and not to diminish the education opportunities that happen at PWIs, Ohio State, UC, wherever. I think that our schools, our professors, our teachers, give them an environment that is can embrace their experience and their knowledge in a way that you can't get. Smaller classes, but also historically Black colleges are less expensive. So from an investment standpoint, and what we tell donors is that your dollars go further with us and in our schools because it doesn't cost as much. And we know that the cost is so burdensome for students with student loan debt that even when they graduate, it's hard for them to get a start because, they got to hump that loan, So we're trying to help reduce student loan debt for our students by providing scholarship. And we also have special scholarships that support what we consider emergency student assistance. That's housing, food, technology. Our kids need all those things. Right. And our programming is not just scholarships. We provide internships to help kids get career opportunities in their junior year, go back as a senior and graduate, and then come to work in an organization and having learned and inculcated themselves with the corporate culture to be successful. We have a student professional development program that basically teaches kids how to be successful in those corporate environments. So we have technology programs, we have STEM programs. UNCF has a number of programs that really support our institutions and support our students, but also provide a talented pipeline for students to join corporations to be successful.
Tommy?
Yeah, as I'm listening, you are blowing up a lot of myths that people might have about UNCF. One of which I think that a lot of people thought that it was germane to HBCU students, right? So you blew that up, PWIs. Even from a diversity and talent management perspective, I don't know if a lot of people and/or businesses were familiar with this. And then, as you mentioned, with all of the professional development, internships, and co-op opportunities, how do students or schools get engaged with UNCF?
Tom, that's a great question. As a national organization, we have offices all over the country. We do events. We have our National Walk for Education, but uncf.org has all kind of information. You could stay on that site all day because there's just so much stuff on there. We provide education, We do K through 12 stuff, not just for colleges, because you can't go to college if you're not prepared to be a high school student.
Come on now.
So, those are things that we understand. We also have church programming because UNCF started at just like most historically Black colleges started in the Black church.
Yes.
So we have a church program. So, we have a number of ways and opportunities for people to connect to UNCF. We also have the Frederick K. Patterson Institute for Research. So they really operate on a research platform to help institutions be successful, to help our schools operate more efficiently so the funds that they receive from us are marshaled and managed correctly. So, there's so many ways that UNCF can support students, support schools, support workforce diversity. And the best place to start is at uncf.org. And area development directors like myself, I cover all of Ohio and Kentucky. And Eric knows I'm in the road. I'm out in front of people. So we're trying to educate people on what we're doing and really share our mission that this support is so desperately needed for our schools and for our students. And it really means economic impact in those communities. Central State, Wilberforce create an economic impact in the Cincinnati-Dayton area that's multi-million dollars. We also impact from historically Black colleges and students that graduate from college in general, HBCUs, their lifetime earning is multiplied by millions of dollars. So it's this educational opportunity is really about money, So
love that. I was just reading here. You said uncf.org, so I had to just pull it up, man. Beautiful. We can't simply believe in equality in education. We have to create it. So that's the first thing that you're hit by. I was looking at some research, Stephen, that was saying that for girls, that when they have teachers, female teachers like them, it levels up their confidence and their ultimate performance and desire to go into STEM education. In other words, when there's somebody that believes that you can do it, that can demonstrate that and model it before you, it increases your confidence and ultimately your performance. There's absolutely an element of that works here. That
Absolutely.
When you are going to PWIs, sometimes if you don't come there with your self-esteem intact, with your confidence in who you are and who you can be, if that's not intact, then you may not get it. Don't be looking sometimes to think you're going to get it there. You want to speak about that in terms of our students?
Yeah, well, you mentioned a very interesting point, Eric, in that from a STEM standpoint, African-American students only make up 3% of all STEM education opportunities. And if we want to be successful moving forward, we have to change that. And that starts in middle school. It continues in high school. We have to get into this technology digital divide that has been created. So as you were mentioning, self-esteem and seeing who you can be is very important. And that's very true for African-American females. But I've been working for many years with young African-American males because African-American females are outpacing the young brothers by almost 10-1 as far as going to college or getting involved in technology. So we need to make sure that we are supporting, providing positive male role models for African-American young men so that they can achieve their goals and dreams. So that's very powerful. And again, I think the environment that the HBCUs provide and that UNCF supports is critical to expand opportunities for our young people in every facet. And here's some other interesting facts. You know that 50% of all medical doctors that are African-American went to historically Black colleges. So that's amazing. Right. We make up less than 20% of the population, but 50% of African-American doctors come from HBCUs. That's powerful. So we've seen people like Chris Paul and others really uplift HBCU athletics, Deion Sanders. And from an athletic standpoint, that's great. But we have powerful educators, presidents, leaders, and I can run a list off of VIPs in entertainment business that have graduated from historically Black colleges. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Central State. I mean, I could go on and on and on of who have graduated from HBCUs and really embody the championship that we have in the community, in politics, and in corporate endeavors. So, I mean, this is really more than just, hey, help poor little Black schools out with the poor little Black kids. This is really a generational opportunity to make a difference. And we've been doing this for 77 years. No other organization has provided financial assistance to African American students more than UNCF. Only the federal government has provided more money. So, we're out here on the grind trying to help these kids. I'm in the asking business, so I want to make sure that you all go to uncf.org.
I'm on the site right now. I promise you, as soon as we get off, I'm going to make a contribution today.
Yes, sir.
I want to make another comment. Then, Tom, if you got another question, certainly jump in. I want to ask this to you personally. I've known you for a long time, man, and you've always been an eloquent speaker and talker and a motivator. But, man, I see something at a whole nother level here. And there's research that says why we work shapes how we work. And when our work is like play, our motivation is high. When our work has purpose. And man, I feel like what I'm hearing from you right now is a sense of purpose, that you feel connected to this work that you're doing. Am I missing it, or is that?
Eric, you and I have had these conversations in the past. First and foremost, God has blessed me. He has given me this power and passion. He's my Lord and Savior, and I'm just here as a mere servant to support. And as I mentioned before, all the other work I've done in my professional career has been around mentoring, helping young African-American boys, because so many people fed into me, teachers, coaches, parents, neighbors. And we all know that back in the day, if you did something down the street, Mr. Jones was going to get with you. Okay. Yes, and then you come home and your mom and dad going to get with you. So that sense of family and empowerment is so critical. And again, I've just been so blessed, and so many people fed into me, like you, your sister, just so I have to give back. I have to share this story. And God is so good, because I didn't know that this UNCF opportunity was going to come up. It just didn't happen, but it kind of fits. And the success that we've had in this marketplace, we've doubled our output. We were over $1 million the last 2 years. Hopefully this year we're going to get close to 2 million, but I'm passionate about it. And, people can see that. So, and we put facts and we put passion and ambition and hope behind this. So, God is good, and we're just trying to, do as much as we can. But as long as I'm connected to brothers like you and other people in the community that support this work and believe in what we're doing, believe in young people. And what I have seen is that we had a young man this week. He's an 8th grader. So we're starting with kids that are in 5th and 6th grade to get them interested in private school, higher education, STEM education. And over the years of work that I've done, and this with the young people you've worked with, we've seen some amazing things happen for kids that people threw away or didn't think they could do anything or didn't have it. All they need is an opportunity. And when we give them that opportunity, great things happen. So we have to feed into them, and we have to make sure that financially and socially that they're prepared, they're given the right tools and opportunity, and we can support them for success. And that's what UNCF does.
Right. Go ahead, Tommy, and then I'll.
Brother Stephen, you talked about, working with our young brothers and sisters at the age of grades of 5, 6, and maybe sooner than that and after that. Can you talk a little bit about some of the programs that you offer to the parents who may not have had the experience of college, be it PWI or HBCU or anything like that, and some parents that are simply overwhelmed about the process for getting monies or filling out FAFSA forms or even applications where they're just trying to put bread on the table? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and Tommy, that's a unfortunate fact that just trying to live is tough enough.
Yeah.
But what UNCF does is that, we're a college funding organization. We make no bones about it. We provide K through 12 support to help communities understand the power of what that vehicle can deliver to them. I also provide what we call scholarship or college prep information. We go to churches, neighborhoods, anybody that'll listen, and that when two or three are gathered, he's in the midst. But we have to tell people this basic information about, if you want to go to college, you can't wait till your second semester, your senior year. Now, I get calls all the time. My son wants to go to Wilberforce Central State. We trying to get money. It's August. School start in 2 weeks. We got to start,
right
when he's in ninth grade, or at least as a junior, the whole application process. So we take for granted that everybody knows what to do, and they don't. So we provide education through many, many channels. We work with, the Greek organizations, the Panhell, to make sure they have the information. So we have to share this. We partner with the Urban League, United Way, anybody that will listen. And from a fundraising standpoint, it's not that, hey, we're in competition, because our mission is different. But the sole course and base of our mission is to support our kids in our community. So that information is so critical. So we don't specifically provide parenting programs per se, but we partner with other organizations that's their core competency. And we provide our information through those organizations so that they can share and be educated on what the opportunity is.
Yeah, before I turn it back over to Eric, I appreciate you answering. And for our community, I'm not hearing this as a sale. I'm hearing this as a solution to a number of issues. And so we have to make it up in our own minds. Do we want to sit on the sidelines and complain and, throw stones at the television, or show up at the event and point the fingers? Or do we want to put our money where our mouth is and where our interests and passions are? If we truly want to see a better future, why not invest in that future? If we have planted the seeds of education, why not water those seeds? I believe 77 years with UNCF, working with institutions, historically Black colleges in particular, that's been around for 100+ years through land grant institutions. They were receiving these funds from the government. It makes sense for us to start to take care of our own and not allow other people to say, well, I'll give you a crumb or two and then back away.
Preach.
Committed today to invest in this. This is nothing new. 77 years. It's not saying, oh, we just showed up yesterday. It's going to be around for another 77 years. We're going to see the return on this investment, not only from our children or grandchildren, but our great grandchildren. The proof is in the pudding. And thank you, Brother Stephen, for showing up today and sharing.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity from my friend, my mentor, my idol, Eric Ellis. And I just want to get your autograph next time I see you, brother. But, we really are blessed to share this work, this mission. And again, the Cincinnati Virtual Mayor's Luncheon is going to stream live on Facebook next Friday. There's no cost. So please share this information through churches, fraternities, sorority, organizations, your listserv. This is a great opportunity, not to hear from me, but to hear from the mayor, to hear from Alicia Reese, to hear from students. We've got Mr. Wilberforce is going to speak, from Wilberforce. So he can tell his story about, hey, then we've got other corporations. We've got somebody from Huntington, somebody from Go Metro, somebody from Duke Energy to say, hey, look, I graduated from Historically Black College. I did it. I made it. You can too, but we need your help. So that's what it's all about. So again, it's investing in our future. A mind's a terrible thing to waste, but we have to invest in our young people. And we just are so grateful and appreciative of Brother Ellis allowing us this platform and opportunity. And I still have to work hard to try to keep up with him. So,
hey, well, we certainly, Tommy and I both appreciate you saying yes to joining us on the show today. If people want to contact you personally because they'd like to have you come into their organization, how can they do that?
You can reach me at steve.miller@uncf.org. That's my email address.
Okay.
You can go to our uncf.org/Columbus site /Cincinnati site /Dayton site. I'm in Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Lexington, Louisville, Cleveland, Toledo, Akron, Canton. So as soon as this COVID blanket is raised, I'm going to be back on the road. And I'll come wherever I'm needed, to whether it's 2 or 200 or 2,000. We need to tell a story and live this message to support. And I just really thank you. So
right.
God bless you.
Again, thank you for joining us today. I've already made my contribution. That's why I wasn't able to give appropriate eye contact the whole way, gentlemen. But I've made my donation today because of this message. And Tommy and I want to say to our community, our audience, thank you for joining us for another weekly installment in Diversity Conversations. Tommy, last word.
Last words. Again, having Brother Steve Miller here was a blessing. And our community knows, stay tuned every week because you never know when your blessing's coming. And so thank you, Brother Steve Miller, and our community for joining us this morning. Please be safe and stay healthy.
God bless you. God bless you. Thank you very much.
All right.